Don't forget to like and subscribe to Jolie Knots Crochet. Share with your friends. Hit that little notification bell so you can get notified when new patterns release. All our videos are available in left and right-handed tutorials. Hi everyone, welcome back to Jolie Knots Crochet. I'm Crystal and today we are going to be making this Jolie's Boho Beach Cover-Up. Now this cover-up is made in 4 different sizes. It is a beach covered up, so it is made to be a bit oversized. It is going to come in a toddler size, one size fits all toddler, one size fits all child, one size fits all adult, and then one size fits all plus size adult. Now, the way that we are going to be working this project is in vertical rows, vertical long rows. Approximately the center of your vertical row is going to be where your shoulder is sitting, and then we're going to go all the way down the back. So you'll have 2 really long panels, about twice this length, depending on what size you have. It might be smaller, it might be bigger. We're going to make 2 panels exactly the same, and then we're going to seam up the front, leave a slit for the neck opening, and then seam the back part of it. Once that is all complete, we will be seaming up part of the sides, leaving a slit for the bottom and a slit open for the arms, and we'll be using just a chain for a little tie to go around the waist. This is a super light cover up with lots of air for breath, and of course you don't necessarily need to use it for the beach. You can definitely wear it over, you know, a tank top and some leggings or anything like that. It's really like a tunic also, which works out just the same. Not a problem at all. Okay, so the materials that you are going to need for this project, we're using a light 3-weight yarn. It is ideal if you use a cotton or a cotton blend. And then for the tie, we're going to be using a smaller 3.5-4 millimeter hook size, just to get those chains nice and tight so it doesn't stretch out. All right, everybody. There is a written pattern linked below for this cover up, so if you'd like the written pattern, preferably go ahead and go down there and check it out. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram under Jolie Knots Crochet, as well as having a Jolie Knots Crochet community on Facebook. You can join us and show us what you've created. So the yarn that I am going to be using for this project is Yarn Bee in Urban Chic. The color on this one is Coral. The blue one that I showed you is the same yarn, but a different color, and I actually made it quite some time ago, so I cannot remember the color that I used for that one. This particular color is discontinued, but I do believe that the Urban Chic is still available at Hobby Lobby for this project if you want to use that same one. Other than that, ideally you would use a cotton yarn or a cotton blend yarn. So if you're going to be wearing it around water, then it would help to dry it out a little bit easier. These come in 3.5 ounces, 275 yards. It is 78% acrylic and 22% cotton. It is machine washable and dryable, and it is a 3 lightweight yarn. Okay, we are also going to be using a 6 millimeter hook on this, and I am wearing my little finger cover because I did smash my finger in the bathroom door, and I am saving you guys the grossness of actually looking at it. So I'm going to be wearing this for a while until it heals up and my nail is all grown back. All right, so hopefully that is fine by you. Now I will go ahead and leave the yardage that you need per size scrolling up on the screen.
It does come in 4 sizes: toddler, kids, adult, and plus size. Because it is a cover-up, it is very oversized, so it should fit a very wide range. There are one size fits all in those categories. Okay, I'm going to be making the child size with you guys today. And so to start the child size, I'm going to start with 200 chains. So go ahead and get your 200 chains together, and I will meet you back for the first row. Okay, I have my 200 chains. Now this is for the kids size. The toddler size should have 140, and the adult size, whether it's just an adult or a plus size, will have 250. So for row 1, the first thing that we're going to do is half double crochet into the second chain from the hook, and in every chain all the way down. So you should have an odd number of half double crochets. If you are looking to customize the length and make it longer or shorter than you would like, then feel free to do that in multiples of 2, just as long as your row 1 stitch count is an odd number, then you will be fine. So go ahead and finish out row 1 of half double crochets, and I will meet you back for row 2. Okay, so I have just completed row 1. I've got 199 half double crochets. So after every row, we are going to be turning our work. So this next row is going to be the right side of our work. So what I'm going to do is turn my work. The way that I'm going to work my first stitch is going to be a stacked single crochet to make a double crochet. So let me show you how to do that. Now you don't have to do it this way. You can do chain 3 to count as your double crochet. You can do it as a chain 2 and double crochet, but we're not putting a border on this, so it is going to make a cleaner edge, but you can do it how you want. So making sure that the yarn is coming from the back side, not the front side, we are going to go in, we're not chaining 1, we're going to go into the stitch, pull up a loop, and make a single crochet. Now we have 2 loops on our single crochet. We have the top V, and then we have this bottom loop. That's the loop that we are going to go through to make our next single crochet. That's how we're going to stack them. So we do 2 for a double crochet and 3 for a treble crochet. That's the first stitch of row 2. Now we're going to put a double crochet into the next stitch, and here's our repeat. We're going to chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet into the stitch after that. Repeat. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet into the stitch after that. So you are going to repeat that all the way down the end. And when you finish your last repeat, you should have 1 stitch left, and you'll place a double crochet in there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out row 2, and I will meet you back all the way at the end of row 2. Your row 2 should end the same as it started, with 2 double crochets at the beginning, 2 double crochets at the end. So go ahead and finish that out, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, I have completed my second row, and what I'm going to do for row 3 is to chain 1 and turn my work. And now I'm going to do a series of half double crochets. So half double crochet into every single stitch and chain space all the way down. You should have the same amount of half double crochets as row 1. Our stitch counts are not changing throughout the entire pattern. So just half double crochet into every double crochet and every chain space all the way to the other side. Okay, I have just completed row 3. What you're going to do now is turn your work. We're going to get started on row 4. Now we're going to do a stacked treble crochet. So remember, without chaining 1, making sure that your yarn is coming from the back, we're going to put a single crochet into that first stitch. And then stack 2 single crochets on top of that. So not this loop closest to your hook, but the one on the inside, if you can tell there. That's the one we're going to go through. Pull up a loop, a single crochet, not the loop on the outside, but the one on the inside, and single crochet, and that is our stacked single crochet to create a treble crochet. Now we're going to treble crochet into the next stitch. And here is our repeat. Chain 1, skip 1, treble crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, treble crochet into the next. We're working that just like the double crochet row, only we're working treble crochets. So your stitches should line up with your double crochets. Okay, so repeat that to the end, and then again you will have 2 treble crochets at the end, just like you did at the beginning. Okay, there we go. We've just completed row 4. Row 5 is going to be a repeat of row 3, which is the half double crochet row. So you're just going to chain 1, turn your work, half double crochet into every treble crochet and every chain space all the way down. Go ahead and finish that out, and I will meet you for the next row. All right, I've just completed row 5. So for row 6, you'll turn your work and you'll begin with a stacked double crochet. And we're going to place a puff stitch directly into the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch, and pull up a loop. We're going to do that 3 times. Then we'll yarn over, pull through all but the last loop, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, puff into the next, yarn over, pull through all but the last, and then the last 2, chain 1, and that's what you'll repeat all the way down until you have 1 stitch left, and I'll meet you back at the other end, and we'll get started on the next row. Okay, so at the end of row 6, once you've finished your last puff, you should have 1 stitch left, and we're going to put a double crochet into that stitch. Okay, so now what you're going to do is turn your work. Getting started on row 7, we're going to stack 2 single crochets to create a double crochet. Now we're going to skip the puff stitch, and into our chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets. Skip the puff stitch, into your chain 1 space, 2 double crochets. And that's what you're going to do all the way down. Skipping your puff, into your chain space, 2 double crochets. So that's what you're going to complete for row 7. and I will meet you back to get started on row 8. Okay, here we are at the end of row 7. We're going to skip our last puff stitch and double crochet into the last stitch. So this is what your work should look like so far. And now getting started on the next row, we're going to turn our work and we're going to start again with a stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to puff stitch in between the first stitch and these next 2 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 2 double crochets, and then we'll puff stitch in between these 2 double crochets. So we'll skip the 2 and then puff stitch before the next stitch. Chain 1, skip your 2 double crochets and puff stitch. So we're puff stitching between our 2 double crochet groups, separated of course by a chain 1 space in between our puffs. So it should look like this. So continue that down to the end of the row, and I will meet you back to get started on the next row. Okay, so I have made it to the end of row 8. I'm going to put my last puff stitch in between my last 2 double crochet group and my last double crochet. And then straight from there, I'm going to put a double crochet into my last stitch. And this is what your work should look like so far. So we're half complete with the repeat. What is going to happen next is you're going to, of course, turn your work. So from here, we're basically mirroring the other side. We are going to repeat row 3, which is your half double crochet row, row 4, which is your treble crochet row, and then row 3 again, which is your half double crochet row. So I want you to repeat half double crochet, treble crochet, and then half double crochet, those 3 rows coming up along here, and then I will meet you back for the next part of our pattern. All right, so here is my panel completed up to row 11. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now your repeat rows are going to be rows 2, which is your double crochet row, to 11. So you're going to start over again here for row 2. Now this is the extent of the Toddler panel. Every size, when you complete your repeats of row 2 to 11, every size is then going to do
repeat rows 2 and 3. So every size is going to end with a row 2 and 3, additionally a double crochet row and a half double crochet row.
And then I'm going to make a panel the exact same. So you have 2 panels that look exactly the same. For the child size, you are going to repeat rows 2 through 11 one more time and then finish that out
with a row 2 and 3.
For the adult size, you're going to repeat rows 2 through 11 2 more times. And then you'll finish it out
with a row 2 and 3.
And for the plus size adult, you will repeat rows 2 through 11 3 more times.
And then finish out with a double crochet row and a half double crochet row.
And again, you will do that 2 times to create 2 panels. So I'm going to finish out my child size. Remember, if you're making a toddler, this is your panel plus that additional row
2 and 3.
Okay, so this will be the size for the toddler. Make another panel the exact same. And I'm going to go ahead and do my repeats 1 extra time, rows 2 through 11, and then end with 1 additional
row 2 and 3.
Okay, so finish yours out, and I'm going to meet you back here. I'm going to show you how to put it all together, where to seam up, how much space to leave open for the neck, and all that kind of stuff. All right, so go ahead and do yours, and I will meet you back here so we can get it all together and put it into like a real piece. Okay, so now we're ready to put our panels together. The rows with your treble crochet and your double crochets, the right side of those should look like this. That's the front side, or at least that's what I'm considering the front side. You can consider whatever side you want to be the front side. We're going to take one panel and we are going to fold it in half, leaving 10 stitches from the bottom. Now, if you want your back to be longer than your front, this is how we're going to do it. And if you want it to be the same size, then you can go ahead and seam them right next to each other. So what I'm going to do is just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and I'm just going to place a stitch marker here so that way I know exactly where my 10 is. Now what we're going to do is mark our stitches. This will be the inside and this will be the outside. So your last half double crochet row that you did will be the inside of your panel, right? So what we're going to do is for a toddler size, we are going to mark about 5 inches in the front and approximately 3 inches in the back. For a child size, we're going to mark approximately 7 inches in the front and 4 inches in the back. For an adult size, 12 inches in the front, approximately 7 in the back. For the adult plus size, we are going to do 13 inches in the front and about 8 inches in the back. Now you can totally customize this for the desired width that you would like. It's not like you have to do these exact. This is just what I have found is going to work best. So I am going to measure out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to mark my front panel at 7 inches. Okay. Now, because I'm making the child size, my front is 7 and my back is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to mark that stitch. So now what you're going to do, we're going to take our next panel, making sure that they're laying the same kind of way. And I'm going to line up all of my stitches to the best of my ability. Fold it over in half. And here's what you're going to do now. What you are going to do is count from the bottom front up to make sure that all of your stitches are lined up, and then you'll connect your stitch marker, so that way we have the same exact amount of stitches going down the front. So I'm gonna line everything up, and I'm gonna go by these double crochets here to make it kind of easy. That way I don't have to count right now. I can just make sure that my panels are lining up properly. And I'm going to attach my stitch marker in there so that both are together, both pieces are together. Okay, this is going to be a little bit difficult to move around if it's not sewn together and it's only held by that stitch marker. So what we're going to do right now is take a tapestry needle, and remember you left a long tail to sew. We're going to go ahead and thread up our needle, and we're going to sew that front part together. And the way that I like to join them is a whip stitch. So I am just going inside of one V on one stitch, and then through the other side of the V, like on the top of the stitch on the other side that we're putting together. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to sew it up all the way up to where our stitch marker is, and then we'll turn it around and do the same thing for the back. Okay, so now that I have finished seaming up the front side of the panel, you can go ahead and lay your panel out now. And double check that from the front neckline to where you marked the stitch on the back neckline, that you have all of your stitches lining up again. Okay, connect your stitch markers so that your panels are together, and this is now going to be our neckline. So then we'll move to the bottom of the back panel, and we will take our tail, weave up our tapestry needle, and we will now begin to whip stitch the bottom of the back panel all the way up to the stitch marker. Okay, so I just finished up stitching the back. This is the front, and now what I'm going to do is fold my panels in half again. They should be one panel. And we are going to make sure again that we have those 10 stitches open, or 10 stitches longer in the back. Go ahead and mark them. And on the other side. Okay, so here's what you're going to do now. We are going to seam up the sides. Now, when we seam up the sides, in my opinion, because it's a beach cover up, it's meant to be really loose and airy. We don't want it to be fitted. So what we're going to do is we're going to take approximately 1/3. So this is a whole one separated into thirds. We're going to take approximately that middle third right there, leaving a nice cute little slit on the side for the bottom and a nice large hole for the arms. And we're going to take approximately that 1/3 and seam it up. So since we marked these stitches here, we're going to line it up. Finding the first part of your third and place a stitch marker through both sides. Line it up again towards the top. And we are going to, we don't need this stitch marker down here anymore. So I'm going to place a stitch marker to line these guys up. Okay, so take a look at it, make sure it's approximately a third. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. Doesn't really matter. I think this one should actually move down some more. Okay, that looks about good. That's where I'm going to put mine at. And now I'm going to whip stitch here. Okay, when you get to the other side, you're essentially just going to count your stitches going up, mark that on the other side, and then count your stitches in between your stitch markers, mark it on the other side, and then you'll just seam up both sides so that they're the same. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and do that. But the next thing that you want to do once you've got that complete is take a smaller hook, say like a 4mm hook, and you're going to chain approximately 200 to 300 chains depending on the length of it. You want it to wrap around your body, maybe a time and a half, and then that way you have a tie to put on it. The tie that you saw in the photo in the beginning. And all I did when I put the tie in is I just kind of like wove it through so it doesn't fall out. Just wove it through everything. Okay? All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching Jolie Knots Crochet. I'm Crystal. Don't forget to find me on Facebook, Instagram under Jolie Knots Crochet. You can also join the Jolie Knots Crochet community on Facebook and show us what you've created.